I want to talk today a little bit about Donald Trump because he was at the opening of one of his hotels, I believe in Washington. I don't know if that's where it was at, but that's where I think I heard it on Fox News. But I want to talk about being a part-time president. I've always said this from the very beginning about Trump, is he's not able to separate his business from his presidential run. And once again, he's a little over 2 weeks from, the election, but he's spending time doing his own thing. So I just, logically trying to think how that would play out if he was president. Is he going to split his time between his business dealings and the presidency? So let's say, he's got some new hotel or some new golf course he wants to open up. What does he just take time off and go open up the golf course, go open up the hotel, go open up the whatever building he builds or building that his name is on? He just goes ahead and does that. I mean, that's what you're kind of looking at with this guy. You're looking at part-time presidency, a guy that doesn't really, fully focus on anything at all. And they say that he's got a really short attention span, and you can see how that works out for him. It's like today he's with this hotel or whatever it is building that he opened up in Washington. Tomorrow he's back to the campaign in Florida, campaigning to try to, pick up the state's electoral votes. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting because I've been kind of pointing that out from the very beginning, that he's never really separated himself from his businesses. He's never really separated himself from his brand. And I always wondered really legitimately if he is really not trying to win this thing the way he runs his campaign. So once again, I just kind of thought that was interesting. The guy's kind of an enigma to me. I don't know quite what to think of him. I mean, he gets a lot, and you always talk about, well, he's going to win the election because he gets all these crowds. The reason he gets all these crowds is because he's so unpredictable that it's almost like going to a show. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. You show up, and it's like entertainment. It's like people are showing up to his rallies just because it's entertaining. I don't know if there's so much big supporters of his, but they just enjoy the entertainment. That's what he always talks about, his claim to fame. So, I get so many supporters, Hillary gets nothing. That's why I'm going to win the election. The other thing I want to talk about is something that Roger Moore said. Roger Moore's the filmmaker and everything. I used to hate the guy. I used to just hate this guy. But, he makes a lot of sense. I guess the older I get, the more I start to see things another way. But what he says, I listened to him the other night, is that Trump fills this void. And the void that Trump fills is there's a lot of people in this country, mainly guys like me. I'm probably a little bit past that age group. But guys a little bit younger than me who didn't really meet expectations in life. They always had big ideas and wanted to do better and do things better and, how life was going to be so much better than it ended up being. And they become disenfranchised. They become a little upset with the way life turned out. So now they're kind of like, they're blaming somebody. They're blaming something. And what they're blaming is they're blaming whatever the status quo is or was, and that's this political machine that's been in place all these years. Not only the Clintons, but the Bushes, the Gingriches, all these guys, that've been around forever. They kind of blame that whole structure, and it doesn't matter who is running against that structure; they're going to support it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Donald Trump. In fact, I think Donald Trump's a really lousy person to represent these disenfranchised group of people. And I don't think it's really in a matter of Donald Trump. Nobody's voting for Donald Trump. I don't think anybody likes him that much. I think they're voting for that whole idea of this disenfranchisement that they've had, that they feel like this just isn't, this country isn't what it used to be or isn't going the direction they want it to go. So I don't care if Donald Trump was, whoever, name a name, whoever the guy would be represented. I mean, you could say Donald Duck. I mean, Hillary Clinton could be running against Donald Duck, and everybody would be following Donald Duck. So many of these people would be following Donald Duck. But the really interesting thing to happen is, is kind of like this group of people that is disenfranchised used to make up a good, big percentage of our population, and probably enough of the percentage of the population that they would almost always be the dominant in the voting. They'd win every election that this group decided to support. But this group isn't as, and it isn't as big as it used to be. It's not as much as it used to be. Now there's more of a different, diverse group of people out there to vote that is starting to control these elections. So that group of people, the guys I'm talking about, guys my age and a little bit younger, that used to control this are no longer controlling it. The only thing I would say to people like that is you gotta learn how to adapt to this new world. I had to learn how to adapt. I mean, I'm a technology guy, and let me tell you, I grew up at a farm in Nebraska. The last thing in the world I could possibly do was learn anything about technology. But I had to really, struggle in middle age to figure out how to do it, because that's the only way I could support myself. I couldn't support myself anymore. You can't barely support yourself on the farm. You can barely support yourself doing any kind of other kind of work. So you have to figure out a way to reinvent yourself. And I know it's hard. It's very hard. But the last thing you should do is, trust a guy like Donald Trump to come in and save the day, saying, "Oh, I'm going to save jobs. I'm going to bring him back. I'm going to do all this stuff." Just not going to happen. I mean, he's such a populist. He talks in such a populist way. If he's talking to steel workers, he's going to do everything for the steel workers. If he's talking to miners, he's going to do everything with the miners. If he's talking to factory workers, he's going to do everything for the factory workers. He's just a snake oil salesman. He just plays to whatever crowd he's in front of. And that's what the guy's been doing all of this time. He's just, he's really kind of like I say, a snake oil salesman. Just plays to whoever he's in front of. And he's pretty easy to figure out. I mean, I've done a lot of sales in my life, and I can tell when somebody's really not sincere and somebody is just trying to make the pitch. And that's basically all he does, is just do the pitch. He's just a pitch guy. All he does is pitch and tell people what they want to hear. So anyway, video's almost 6 minutes long. Actually, it's almost 6 minutes long. So it went a little bit long, but I just wanted to talk about this part-time presidency thing of him, how he splits his between somebody that that does his business and then runs for presidency. And I think that's, if he would win, which possibility he might win, I don't see any reason why he's out of it yet. I mean, how he would run a presidency given those kinds of conditions, and how he would probably and it would be really funny, because the guy's a really more businessman than he is a politician. Would his business affect the way he governed, the decision that he makes? I mean, people got to consider that, because I would say that. I mean, the guy's got a huge conflict of interest going on with the businesses and running for presidency, and then trying to be a little bit of a dictator all at the same time. So anyway, just some thoughts. I appreciate you listening.